Let's start our lecture. Today's topic is the template rendering and control flow in Templator. So, today we'll talk about Templators. Do you know what is Templators?
Template.
Or uses templates? Or works with templates? Yeah, it's something like this, Maxim. I can give you a hint. It's an HTML templator.
So like our yours second assignment with that like for our routes look at like the HTML.
Uh-huh.
So yes, a template that is something that like contains those HTML things and like manipulates them as a look back to like about like yeah
Uh-huh.
like to like the place that we will give you like and book it up to like
Mhm.
as much part like more.
Yeah, guys, you all correct. So right now, what we have? We have some paths, right? You already implemented a simple routing where you have a path, for example, info. I don't know, info page. It's my favorite path for some reason, and you are mapping this path to some handler, right? And you can have a well, you can have this page from here as a parameter, and inside handler right now you have some small HTML inside as a string. So you have 3 columns, some, I don't know, tag, and you passing page as a value because this is formatted string. And this is it. So right now you already have created some sort of HTML templator where you have some HTML code, but this is a template that we are rendering to a real HTML code, passing inside this template our variable that we have from our path. But imagine Rosetka. You have for every GET request, you have a whole page with many HTML tags, some styles, some JavaScript code, and you can't just write all of this HTML code inside your handler method. You have some, for example, why in American university we don't have nice markers? I don't understand. You have, yeah, you have some info HTML file, and you can open this info HTML and return this content to the call method and like send a response to a user with the content of this info HTML. But right now, this HTML is static. So we don't have the way to give or move or pass this page into this HTML file. So this is why we need HTML templators. So HTML template it's an HTML code, but with some special symbols that we are defining. And HTML templator helps us to change those special symbols to our information. So let me show you what we can do with our HTML templator. So in this project, in next project that's about this topic, you will create your HTML templator. So in our HTML templator, we have three main features. First one, imagine we right now inside our info HTML. First of all, for example, we have our header, and here we want to pass variable from outside. So we will use two brackets and variable name. For example, header. So if we will render this HTML, we will render it's like an value. So our user will see those brackets, the header, like the actual word, and two closing brackets. So during the rendering phase, we will change this line with the value of our header. But this is the least interesting part of our templator, because we can do some logic inside our template. We will create an if statements inside HTML and for statements inside HTML. So let's start from if statement. So for example, we can start our line with this special symbol. It's a bracket, and what is this? At, yeah, at, then if, then some condition, for example, age bigger than 5, and then add and closing bracket. Then we can pass some HTML code, any amount, anything. In this example, we will have our P tag, for example, something. But also we can pass there some other variables, some other arguments. Then we can add an elif statement like in Python. And for example, if age less than 0, for example, and add something here. For example, I don't know. Other tag, it says age less than 0. Also, we can have an else tag, and here we don't need the condition, because else means that everything before it false, and only in this situation we will execute code under the else. But in our case, it's not a code, it's a HTML that we want to put inside our file, inside our page that we are showing to users. So here we can have something, some other information, and then we will have and if tag. That means our if structure is closed. So what does it mean? When we work with a templator, we have a template and we have a context. Context is a dictionary of variables that we want to use inside our template. So this is a dictionary. For example, we know that inside our info HTML, we have variable header. So we have key value header and value some string, for example. And we have age and also some value here. So when we rendering our template, we will pass our file, the path to the file, and the context, the dictionary with variables. And tell me, does it look familiar to you, this dictionary? I think you saw it somewhere inside your project, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, structurally, it looks like JSON because dictionary looks like JSON. But what? Yeah, this is literally our params from our matches method. So basically, we can have a path info, then variable header, then age and variable age, and when we call our matches method, we have params as return value. We have neither or either. We have optional none or a dictionary. So we have our matches and we have params, and our matches during matches operation, we retrieve those values and values that we have in a request in a header, and we have our params. And basically, this context, this dictionary, this is our params. So when we call our handler with two asterisks and params, we are passing those params in our handler. And our handler is something that we registered with our decorators, right? So inside our handler, we will have two parameters, header and age, for example. And then inside handler, we will call our templator dot render, and we will pass our info HTML and the dictionary, this dictionary. And this dictionary we can construct from variables that we have from our matches method. Does it make sense, guys?
No, but
So basically, you already have this part. You already have a matches method that returns a params, and basically the same params that you will use in a templator. And all you need to create is a templator. It's a class. You create an object of templator near object of your server. So you create an app equals your server, then templator equals some like templator class name. You will have your templator object, and you will have one method inside templator, one public method. It's a render, and render receives the path to your HTML page, and you will open this HTML page inside your render method, and you pass in your params that you have from matches inside this templator. That's all. Okay. Maybe you have questions about this.
Not what? Not. Why do you take
Where, what, like road dot handler. Other questions? Okay. Let's talk about algorithm that you will create here for if statement. So you will read your HTML file. HTML file basically is a string. You can work with HTML as a string, and you can move line by line. So what I propose to you is to imagine your HTML file like a number of lines, and you do some operation on one line, then you move to the next line, then to the next line, and when you reach a bottom of HTML file, you stop your execution and return and your return method returns your updated HTML. So, for example, let's imagine we are our algorithm. So we starting from line 0. First of all, we need to check if we have such symbols. This is our first operation. We need to check if we have such symbols. If we have such symbols, it means that we want to change something inside those symbols to some information that we have in our params. So we removing those lines. How we can do it? We can do it with this, right? Someone showed me this. So you can find the index of this element, of like where it starts, and index of this element where it starts. Then you can have substring of this element, because you already know the start and start of this. So the end of this is start of this plus 2, right? Because it's 2 elements. And you have this substring, then you have other substring using this. You can have only this value. And you check if you have something inside your dictionary with the name header. If you have this, you need to change this line. So this line is a string, and you need to rewrite this string. So let's imagine we have this line. What we need to do? First of all, we can see that we have this. So we need to find index of this element. Index of this element, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 4, right? Then we can find this. We can find the index of this element, some n. Then we create a new line. Let it be I. We can find we can cut this line into other variable. For example, value equals our line. Line. This is a line. Our line I plus 2 and n. So in our value, we will have only this. So then we want to recreate this line from start. So we need to take this part. We need to cut. So first part, this is our line from 0. It means we don't need to, we can say from 0 to I. But in Python, if we're starting from 0, we can just don't write the 0 and write like this, starting from semicolons. Then our value, this our params, with the key header. So our key, this is our value. And second part, this is our line from n plus 2, because n, this is a start of this, n plus 2, this is n plus 2 symbols, so starting from here. So semicolons, and we can say the length of string, but in Python, if it's from something to the end, we don't need to write anything. And then our updated line, so tell me, what is updated line? Okay, tell me where the first part is in our line. So first part, only this, right? Yes. The second part. No.
Line.
Yes. So second part starts from n plus 2. N is the start of our closing brackets. N plus 2, it's this element plus 2 elements. So we have 2 closing brackets. So this is here. So the second part, this part, and value, basically our value, but we changing this to something from our params. So how can we rebuild our updated line? Yes? Mm-hmm. First part plus value plus second part. So basically, it's how you manage the variables. You need to change this structure to some value that you have in your dictionary. This is first operation, changing the variables. Next, let's talk about if statement. So we done first line, we updated the first line. Next, we are moving to the second line. We have a condition. If our line starts with this symbol, it means we need to do something. So if our line don't start with this symbol, we can go next and, for example, change variables. But first of all, if our line starts with special symbol, it means we need to manage the special case. Then we check if our after special symbol we have if, it means we need to handle the if construction. So next, we parse this. We parse our statement, and we even can run this statement from string. So we can use eval method. So what eval method does? It receives the string as a parameter and executes the string as a code. So you can execute some code with eval during execution of your code. So basically, how eval works, you pass here the string, for example, age more than 5, and eval will return you the bool value. But also inside eval, you can pass two additional variables. First of all, is the global context. So inside eval, you can use variables even from your program, from your environment, from your Templator object. But we don't need this, because eval is very dangerous operation, because inside this string, some user can write some very harmful operations that will kill your server. So we want to use only those variables. So we need to pass none to a global operations, and then pass our params as the variables that eval can use inside this. So in this case, eval will execute this, and age, it will use the value that we have inside params. So we are parsing this line. We have special symbols. We are removing them. We check the next token after special symbol. We have a set of those tokens. It's if, elif, else, and if, for, and for. This is our special tokens. We check if our special token if, we removing this if and evaluating this part. So we can write that for this line, we have token if and value true. And we can collect our like something inside this. We can collect and connect it, create association to this if. And we know that if in this line we have true condition, we will enter, like we will insert in our updated HTML only this part, not this part, not this part, only part that works, only part that under the if that works. So we checked, okay, if it's true, we move to the next line and we can check this structure. So we can see that our statement here was true. That means this line and a line after this one, and maybe 100 lines after this if, we want to save, and we want to pass in our info HTML. If this condition is false, we don't need to store this information. We're moving to next line with next special symbol. And we check, okay, it's elif. So this is other condition. And we save this other condition. And if this condition is true, and we are moving to the next line, we're starting to saving those lines to pass it inside our HTML code. If this also false, we are not doing anything with those lines. Then when we found the else statement and everything, all the statements before it were false, then automatically we are starting to do this operation that we done with those lines with this segment of HTML. Because but if we had a true value at some point here with if or elif, we don't do with this HTML text nothing. And when we find an if token, it means we can stop all of this operation. And we need to save the start and the end, and we need to pass the true condition HTML text and pass it instead of all of this. So we don't need this block inside our updated HTML. We need to pass some data that we wanted to pass instead of this whole structure. So this is a complicated algorithm, but the main idea, you need to identify the start of your if else block, the end of it, and parse everything inside it. If you have a true value, you pass everything that under this true value, true condition, and that under that over the next condition. So this is basically the overview of the abstract representation of your if-else algorithm inside your template. And after this, you can show different content to a different users. For example, you have an authorized user and unauthorized user, and you have this information inside. Even you can, okay, so you have information about your user inside your path. This is an authorized user or unauthorized user. And to unauthorized, you can create this statement. If user is authorized, if user are not authorized, you are showing to this user a button login. And if user authorized, you're showing to this user its avatar and name. So this is a basic example why we need this. So we don't need to create two different HTML files, one for authorized user and other to unauthorized user. We can create some logic inside one HTML file, and based on values that we can pass to this templator, we can show different HTML to other users. So, any questions about this?
But yeah, that's is no practically from here. Yeah, correct. The other thing, but first, but also like that.
Yeah, you can create a diagram about this. You can create a block schema about this code to visualize this algorithm, because it's hard to visualize just in head. You can create some visual representation, for example, in Figma or in Lucidchart. And I think it will help you. Next, let's move on to the for value. We can have a for token. For example, product in product, then we can say that, for example, okay.
But
So we can have something like this. We can create the for loop inside our HTML file. And I think this is the most useful thing in Templator, because, for example, you have a list of products, a list of 30 products. And for every product, you have some structure. For example, you have an image, title, price, button, add to cart, for example. And you have 30 such blocks. If we had static HTML, we would we would copy paste this block 30 times, but this block is based on product information, so we don't need this. So we can create the for logic right inside our HTML. So let's talk about this. we have our special symbol here. Then we have our special token. It's a for. So we're removing this part. We have only product in products. For example, in our parts, we have some products, and this is a list of some product class with some name and some price. So when we found such structure, we removing those parts, we have product in products. We can split those parts using not a slash or some symbol, but using a string in, and we will have a list with two elements, product and products. We can check if we have variable in our params that called products. We can find it. Then we identifying that we want to use every element from our products using the product variable. So any mention of product, it means this is a value of products. So we creating this link between list products and value product. And inside our algorithm, inside our code, we also will have for loop, the real for loop. And as you know, we also can say product in products. But in this case, our products is this. So our product is basically we can say not product in products, but product in params products, right? And we can use this product to insert it inside these values. And then we will save, like in cache, we will save everything that was after this line and before this line, because we can also identify this line and stop the process of adding those lines line by line in our cache. And then we can run our for loop to add everything that we saved, to change values using this algorithm that we already created to change everything inside those brackets. So we can change everything inside those brackets using this algorithm, but using this value product that inside our params products. And then we just adding the structure n times using this one after another. And then we also store the start and end index, and we want to insert everything that we have created here, like stacked all of those stacks n times, and we want to add it instead of this block of code, a block of like special operations that starts of index start, this is this index, and ends here. And this is basically our for loop operation. So what we have? We have algorithm for variables. We have the algorithm for structures and algorithm for if-else. And we will use this algorithm inside our for and if statements also. So this is your whole assignment. You need to create this templator. It's only one method. It's only one method. You can see my Octa templator. So here we can see what I have. I will send you this presentation. We have init, we have render, we have our render method that like inside the render method, we are opening our file and run our private render template method. And also I have replace vars method in like I created a separate method for this because I use replace vars in different scenarios. I use it in this algorithm. I use it in for or if else algorithm. So I moved it to another function. But basically, you need to create the only one method that does a rendering of your templator. And as you can see, an example of usage, we have our get, we have our ID, and you can see that you can pass to your render. One moment. You can pass to your render method not only variables from your pass, but for example, define some variables inside this handler, because in the future we will work with databases. And for example, we can have an ID for user from our pass, but all the other information from the database. So we can like create a test environment for this. We can assign those smoke data inside our handler. And this is how our templator works. We call render method. We write in the profile pass to our HTML file and our dictionary, and we are returning it. And inside call method, all of this are rendered and everything okay. So this is your task. Create this algorithm. This is the hardest home assignment of whole course. It have 60 points, but it's only one method. It's like, I don't know, it's like 60 lines of code maximum. And you can do it even in smaller amount of lines. 60 lines, 60 points. One line, 1 point, right? But it's a hard task. So, yeah, this is it.